of help and hope is unfolding right now. Okay, what then, Pastor Hank, would be the signs? How do we know? Listen to what God said. And this is really important because He revealed that there would be a pushback from the people. And He prophesied this many years ago, that there would come a pushback where people would say enough is enough. How many of you are at that place where you're pushing back? Okay, you're watching people push back. And He said the pushback would create a put it back, and it'd literally be a movement. And He's talked about there would be specific signs that if you would look at these signs when they happen, you will know that God is in the middle of this put it back movement. And it's a sign of His redemptive plan. All right, look at slide 4. This is very interesting. From 2004, laws are going to be overturned. Where there was no opportunity to have the 10 Commandments, I'm going to reinstate it. Where they've tried to take prayer out of the schools, I'm going to reinstate it. All right? Yep. Look at
that's my favorite one, because look at the date, 2004.
Okay, but now
20 years ago.
We're going to show another prophecy. Let's show slide 5. That's almost a tongue twister. Okay, anyway, look here. This one is from 2011. All right? And this part I want you to explain, Anthony, and Matthew, I want you to talk about this as well. God says very soon in America, February 27th, 2011, very soon in America, very soon, even in the steps of the Supreme Court, even in Florida, specifically Florida. For the Lord says, as it goes with Florida, it will go with the nation. All right, really, where is 45 from now?
Florida.
Do you think God knew that in 2011? As it goes with Florida, it's going to go with the nation. See, God speaks in mysteries, and we have to see it. He says they'll arise, and they'll say, we want God back in our schools. Do you know that happened in Florida, and it's still happening right now? They are leading the way. DeSantis and all of that, they're leading the way with this is happening. And they'll say, we want the 10 Commandments read and declared and hung in the halls again. And God said, there's legislation that shall go up from Florida to the high courts of the land that shall bring about change in America. For this is a decade where I will bring and establish joy and celebration. Now, you're reading this, and everybody at that time would think, oh, this must be the 2010 to 2020 decade. He's saying, when you see the 10 Commandments being reinstated, look to that decade. And what has God been saying about this decade? It's going to be different. Yeah. It's going to start off harsh. That was 2019, God said it. Yep. And He said it'll end up in rest and great celebration. Well, the Lord told us this in 2011. He said, listen, you're going to establish joy and celebration. Look around the nations and know that it speaks of change and the new season you're about to enter into. Now look at the slides that I think coincide with this one. Isn't there another one? Or maybe I thought you had 10 Commandment slides.
Oh, I do.
Let's see.
Anyway, he's going to look 14. For slide 14. All right, show Moses. Okay. You want to hit on that?
Sure. Okay, so that top headline, if you look at the date, I believe that's from 2018. Yep, August 14, 2018. So going back to that prophecy in 2011, what's interesting is that Florida has actually been leading the way since about 2004. There was this back and forth in the Florida Supreme Court about the Bible in the schools of Florida, so they obviously kicked that out. But ever since then, Florida's been fighting back to put God back in their schools. So this was the beginning of it. 2018, which is not very talked about a whole lot, but they actually signed a bill and passed it into law into their constitution in Florida that in God we trust signs must be shown in all public schools in Florida. And so what's interesting about this is, just like that prophecy said, you start to see one by one these various states start to do the same thing. In 2019, South Dakota did the same thing. And now you're looking at Texas fighting for that. Alabama, Louisiana, they all followed suit. And you can see some of those headlines right there that are showing the same thing. Wow. Now, one thing that is on the radar, Pastor, I didn't put this in here, but there is a prophecy that Pastor Hank gave about prayer being instituted back in the schools, and look to Florida because they hold the keys. Did you know that if you look on ballotpedia.com, Florida has an initiative called, and we are in that season right now.
Well, so put it back. Anything you want to say, and we'll go to the next. You're good? Okay. Thank you, Matt. All right, so let's go to slide 7. I want you to keep in mind the redemptive plan. The elements are speaking. It's the great fall, God's great fall. Extreme temperatures, a put-it-back movement would arise. 10 Commandments would be one of the signs. Now look at slide 7, what God says. This is amazing. I'll read the part in the red. And so as there is a wonder in the heavens, there are signs, many signs that will begin to come. This is January 28th, 2018. Many signs will begin to come. Watch, United States, how I'm anointing the youth to rise up that will cause your courts that call supreme to say we cannot rule against us. Okay, what's been the attack? It's been vicious against the young.
Yes. Yeah.
And it will cause the movement that I've said to you before, put it back to be enforced. What am I saying? Watch, I'll invade your schools once again with prayer. So God's been speaking. He said, it's coming back. It's all shifting. Now you know why you've gone through all the warfare you've gone through. Now you know why the level of wickedness in leaders is like it is. The enemy is afraid. God's word is happening. Look at slide 8. This is another one. This is why they've attacked the children, the libraries. He says, January 28th, the prophecy continues. Watch how I'll invade your schools, once again, of the scriptures. My word being spoken. My word being taught. And yes, let me give you another secret. The name of my son, Jesus, Yeshua, shall be spoken in your schools publicly, says the Lord. And I'm going to anoint the youth. I'm going to anoint the youth. I'm going to anoint the youth. He said it 3 times. And just as they changed the nation, they affected kings. Watch what I do in the next 7 years to shift and turn around.
Look at the date on that, though.
Yeah, 2018
plus 7.
Yeah, that'd be 2025.
I'm telling you, God.
And January 28th, when is the inauguration? Isn't it January of 2025, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
God is no wonder they hate Donald Trump.
I just thought of something. Can you go back?
Listen, I think people are evil. You know, anyway, go ahead.
Can you go back to that slide about extreme heat?
Yeah.
I think it was maybe just slide 3. I just thought of something here. Oh, slide 3A, just with the headline. I just saw something. The hottest place on earth is cracking from the stress of heat. Okay, and they call that place Death Valley. Yeah. Guys, God is using extreme heat to put the pressure on death. 2021 was the hottest temperature on record. 2021. What happened in 2022? Roe versus Wade was overturned. Look at what God is doing.
Yeah. That's really good. All right, I'm going to read these next 2 very quickly, and then we're going to move on to another section. But I'm trying to we're telling a story. I'm trying to get you to understand that. Slide 11, this is March 28th of 2021. And it starts off with Jairus' daughter would have been dead, and the Son of God would never have come and been raised with resurrection power of newness of life. But I've said that you're coming into the new. So how many of you see that? And I've not changed my mind. Therefore, what's the first thing? Your politics will change. And new will come, and it shall be what? Sounds like make America better again. Oh, that's great again. Okay. Says the living God. Now, he's giving you specifics. What do we start looking for? Now, think about what's been attacked. Your schools. Elementary, come on, all that pornography and perversion in the elementary. He said junior high, high schools, your universities shall what? Quickly behold the new. For there'll be a throwing out and a throwing off of the vomit. That's why Montana, you can't read if you're a drag person, right, to their kids. They're throwing off the vomit. That has been of a prior season where they have tried to indoctrinate your children. There shall not be the new era. This shall not be the new era that I speak of. He said the new era is not going to have what you're seeing now. All right, now look at this. This is really powerful. Slide 12. Now think about this. When this was being spoken, all of a sudden, right after that, you start seeing the revival at Asbury a few months later and different things. This was before that. God says October 17th of 2021, there shall be a resetting in your colleges, as there'll be a great move and awakening that shall visit the campuses, that liberalism will be grabbed by the throat and brought down. There shall be a resetting in your schools, and the what? Is telling us. And I will cause a shaking and a dissatisfaction among parents. And we're already seeing that. We're going to be with Lou Engle in just a few weeks in Fort Worth, and he's mobilizing a bunch of women to stand for their children in the place of Washington, D.C. And God said, even among those who've raised children, they'll say, we want our schools back. And God says, this is the reset that I'm talking about. It's all part of his season. When you see the extreme heat and all this, it's part of the season of the great fall. All right, I want to go to the next section. This is, by the way, did they show slide? This one we need to show real quick. Show slide 15. I want to just read these headlines real fast. It says, a law now allows 10 commandments to be studied in Utah's public schools. Oklahoma State Superintendent announces all schools must incorporate the Bible. God's been prophesying this. And the 10 commandments in the what? Notice what it says. In the what? God, we just read the prophecy that said the curriculum would change. God, this is 2024 they said that, but the prophecy was from 2021. Now look at the next one. Slide 16. Trump loves 10 commandments in public schools. All right, anyway, I don't want to. Let's go on to the next one. Slide 17.
At least he has a personality.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, yeah. Yikes.
All right. All right, let's talk about this. So, to Kent Christmas's point, it's been a 3.5-year drought. It's been dry. It's been tough. How many of you would say, honestly, that you've had some kind of challenge over the last 3.5 years, respectfully? And we're not glorifying it. We're not glorifying it. Okay. It's just where it's been. But then the prophet shows up. And this is what I was sharing with Kent. I said, Kent, but the prophet shows up in 1 Kings 18:41. And he says, he says, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. There was no physical proof that there was anything beginning to change. No sign of rain, not a rain cloud. But then look at verse 45. This is so, you got to see this. And it came to pass. So what came to pass? What the prophet heard, what the prophet said, what God spoke through the prophet. This is where we're at in our country right now. We've been in 3.5 years of a drought, and God is saying, listen, it's coming to pass. This is my season. And the heaven was black with clouds and wind. Okay, there's going to be some natural signs in the elements, because that's what you would have. If you're looking there, you'd say, oh, the elements. Oh, there's a black cloud. There's a wind. But then, and there was a great rain. So I like also what one translation says, and it happened. This is what I want you to see. It's happening. You know, when I get back from vacation, if God wants me to share it at this time, I'm really going to talk about the danger of complaining, because we've all complained. I even complained today, and I caught myself like, I'm not ready to preach my message until I get it right. I'm trying to go on vacation, God. You know, and then I caught myself and said, well, I need to study this out first before I bring it to the people. Okay. Otherwise, I'm a hypocrite, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. All right. So look here at slide 17. So the sign that change was happening was what? Rain. Okay. We were in California in December at Cheyenne's church. And Pastor Gene said, Pastor Frank, do you have anything? And the Spirit of God began to prophesy. And he said, God said, there will be a sign given to you, California, but also this nation. And it will be a sign. Men have looked to a rainbow, my rainbow, but he said, others have said, God, you're showing up in a double rainbow. But the Lord says, can I do something that will shock you? I will release a triple rainbow. They had a triple rainbow at the end of January in California. It was gorgeous. You can go and research it. You'll see it. And then God said, and I will cause it to rain, 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 rain. California. And then it will rain, rain, rain in abundance over you, United States. Do you know California had an abundance of rain right after we left, like, I don't know, like 30 days or so. You remember that. And then look at what we've been seeing. Because it's a sign, heat, all of this of God's season to show us that there's a shift. The prophet said, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. No evidence, no proof, no manifestation. Yet there was a release of it, and it finally caught up. That's what I'm trying to say to you. We are now seeing the prophetic words starting to manifest at a rapid rate. Not just from this vessel, but from many others that God is using. Even you that are out there. So look at slide 17. I'm going to read these very quickly. Watch the rains, February 2023. They shall bring a cleansing. Slide 19. March 21st, 2021, with the abundance of rain and the mountains that are blowing their tops, the ground shall shake. Come on, you're seeing all of this. Because they will not have to live in socialism or unrighteousness. So why are all these things happening? God's trying to say, look, I'm coming. And the earth is responding. Hell is responding. Wicked man is responding. And it's to break this spirit of socialism and injustice. Because he said, look at slide 19, and those of you that are listening by the phone, he said, this is not the future that I've declared that will be this decade, or the future of your children, says the living God. All right. December 31st, here it was, New Year's Eve service. God begins to prophesy. Slide 20 he said, now there's ominous dark clouds will be gathered across the earth, and men will say, what is this? We've not seen it like this. Come on, we saw that in Omaha, 2-mile wide cloud. The heights, the depths, the width, the darkness of these clouds. And God says it's to show that the season is changing, and the downpours of rain shall be great. How many are seeing this? Okay, now he says, yet pay attention. Oh, wait, go back. Much will be done in the first 5 months of your year to spin it out of control. Okay, we saw that. To bring confusion, lies. Okay, he said, yet pay attention. As spring comes, there shall also be a great wind that arises that will begin to take place that will accelerate you through your summer and bring preservation over this land of what they seek to do. I will frustrate their purpose. Oh, stop right there. Have they not been frustrated? He's got to go. I'm staying. Right? And they are frustrated. Are they not? Okay. The liberal news, fake news, what are they doing? We didn't know. Yeah, y'all did. Right. It must be really great to go to school and pay all that money, or, you know, go to school and sit there all day so you learn how to lie. I think there's something really wrong with a person if they're like that. And politics aside, it's called morals. It's called human decency, right? All right, is there anything you guys want to comment?
Well, Jonathan had actually said that about, you know, putting our biases aside and looking at things from just a spiritual mindset and looking at things from just like who is legitimately playing dirty. Like you can obviously tell who's playing dirty, you know, and that's the thing. And so John was so right on that because, I mean, Pastor Ant, feel free to chime in because we were talking with him about that, you know, on Game Changers, and Johnny nailed it on the head. It's like, you know, people really need to wake up and understand, like, there is a side that is, like, playing so dirty. And it's like, you look at some of the things of, like, could you imagine if President Trump would have done the things that Biden's done and said recently? I mean, legitimately, it'd be all over the place, you know? And then, and so that's the thing. And I'm like, you know, you got Fauci out there. It's like, it's crickets about that case and everything that he said. But, you know, we want to have 34 counts of this on Trump and trying to indoctrinate him on every which thing. But Fauci, there's blood on his hands. There's blood on the man's hands. Okay. And so, you know, this is the thing of like, John is so right on, you know, people are literally playing so dirty. And it's like America needs to wake up and understand, like, this is more like common sense than we think. I think people are, you know, so afraid to speak out and so afraid to just take a stand. It's like you're sitting and, you know, don't be like Biden who sat in his basement and did nothing, you know, and then just say, oh, well, I'm going to sit in my... No.
They needed the basement to change the eye color of the guy,
for real.
To change his earlobes.
Yeah. Hey, right? It's out there. Go look
surgery,
at it.
Change
serious.
The hand that he writes with, and even the name that he signs with. Come on. All right. Anyway,
the way he walks,
call
even.
It conspiracy.
Just look at all.
It's called,
look at it.
It's a masquerade. All right.
Look at
Slide
it, yes.
21. Men shall look to the seasons of the earth. Now, pay attention. As the spring rains come, the flood waters rise. What do we just see? And tornadic winds begin to blow across the earth in this nation. So he's saying these are some of the things you're going to see. Summer heat rises, but does not compete against the spring winds of heat, and yet early the leaves fall in the time of summer. What does this mean? Has fall arrived? Is it an early fall? So God's going back to tell us it's not about all the things. Don't try to hold God to a certain thing. Realize it's His season. And He says there are but signs in the natural of which has come now. It's the beginning of the end of my season. Aren't you glad? Amen. That I have pronounced upon the earth at this time, for it is the season of my great fall. It's the season of the divine reset, unraveling and reversals that shall come now upon this planet. To you, United States, because of the injustice, because of the things that have been done in dark places, I will expose it at the level that you have said would not happen, but it shall. Amen. I think we should show some headlines real quick. Anthony, why don't you pick up some of those headlines, slide 24, 25, so people can see some of that.
So just to confirm the accuracy of these prophecies, but also just what God has said, we're seeing those things. If you look at slide 24, the first one right there, U.S. weather mid-year recap, tornadoes, floods, and record heat. What are those prophecies just all claiming and speaking of? And we're seeing that literally being confirmed in these headlines. This headline is my favorite, the science behind why the world is getting wetter. So you've got scientists trying to figure out why is there so much rain, but yet we have this weird record heat at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. It's because it's not man. And it's definitely not cow emissions or whatever they think is causing this. Floods, fires, and record heat. Climate disasters multiply around the world. Slide 25. Just looking at the U.S. here, Fort Worth weather, 2024 is the second wettest start to a year on record. Pittsburgh is off to its wettest April ever, on pace for wettest year in history. And then this is confirming the prophecy Pastor Hank gave in December at Pastor Cheyenne's church. Way, way, way above normal rains could set all-time L.A. record as wet weather continues. That was on April 1st of 2024.
Okay, well, there you go. So where does this, what does all of this mean? All right, you have to now put it in perspective. And the perspective is this. This is not just a natural battle that we're having to face with some of the things that, has been harsh. We talk about, egg prices, gas prices, inflation, all the things that we've had to face. Remember what God said on January 6th to this vessel. He said, tell the people, Hank, you must stay with the story. That's why I'm not shaken. I'm not moved. I don't flinch. I know what God's been saying, and I'm watching His story play out. And what God needs is you to respect His heart and respect it enough that what He reveals and what He wants to do, that you are in agreement with it. You know what I'm saying? And that you honor that. How many of you ever had a time where you shared your heart and somebody didn't respect it? It's not a good thing. Well, I always say to God, I don't ever want to disrespect your heart. If you say something, man, I want to say it like you say it. I want to represent your heart. That's why these words, to you, you might just think they're just words up on the screen. To me, this is God speaking His heart. He's revealing it. And I feel a tremendous honor and a tremendous respect to it. And so I want to take you back now. God said, stay with the story. Okay, well, what's the story? Maybe you could set up this part about New York. And we'll read the parts in red to save time.
Yeah, so, this is going back to what? Probably 2018, 2017, where these really started coming out about the specifics. Obviously, you've had more from previous years going back to the
Well,
early
remember
2000s.
9/11. What was the word on 9/11? Out of New York, I will raise up a president that would bring this country back on course. So you have to understand, God's been sharing this story. Yes. And then there's prophecies that we've shared many times, and you can go out to One Voice TV. I think it was the last prophetic pulse we did. We talked about God saying He was going to raise up a mystery out of New York. And the mystery out of New York that say he's not Christian enough. He has too many wives. Remember that? We shared those prophecies. Then it said, the one from New York, God says, I've got a mystery card. Okay, 2006, 2007. Then all of a sudden He tells you, He says, I'm going to trump the enemy. Yeah, I remember what year that was before Trump came on the scene. And then He starts revealing the year that all of this is going to begin to come, where He's going to reveal His card. And it was in the 240th year of America's reign, which was 2016, which just so happened to be this candidate, President Trump, born raised, New York City comes on the scene, just like the prophecy said. So we're going to show you a few of those right here, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to show you all the ones that reference specifically Donald Trump. You need to go out to onevoicetv.net, look them up, and it'll help explain. So should we start slide? I'll just start it here. Slide 26. And then I want you to comment, Anthony, as I get some of these out, okay, for discussion. Slide 26. I want to share a mystery, says the Spirit of God. For there will be a battle over the city of New York, and it will be a battle for the White House. How many are seeing that play out? Okay. Why did it come down in 2016? President Trump, Hillary Clinton faced off. Why did it come down that Hillary went to New York, of all the places, and opened up a place to campaign? Okay. Was it, no, did I say 2016 or was it? Yeah, 2016. And guess what it was called? Tower 45. What presidency was she after? 45th. She wanted it. She didn't get it. And so why this battle over New York? Now go to the next slide, slide 27. It says, God says, watch the place of New York. It shall come down to this city. For men have asked, why New York City? And the Lord begins to tell you, for the blood, the sounds of weeping that still come into the ears of the Lord Sabaoth. I've not forgotten America, not forgotten the day the towers were struck. And then he goes on and he says, now listen, look at the red. Once again, they will attack, but they will attack different, and they'll cause confusion and a dividing of the nation of who shall stand in the White House. Now we're going to reveal God's in the next section here. Pay attention. God says, I'm going to reveal now. There are those that are coming that will cause confusion. Has there not been confusion? Yeah. And he said, I'm also going to, he said, reveal those that are creating a dividing in the nation of the one who's going to stand in the White House. All right. Look at slide 28. God says, I've told you the mystery that it shall come down to the city of New York, and there will be a great battle in the heavens. So he's telling you, this one I'm raising up out of New York, the enemy's going to hate it, and it's going to cause a tremendous spiritual warfare. Now, why, of all the years, 2016, that God would raise up what he's been prophesying out of New York? Hillary comes in, gets Tower 45. Jezebel had a tower. Now you have President Trump, Hillary Clinton, and they're fighting. They're battling for the seat of authority over our country. Pro-life, pro-choice. Are you hearing me? Mm-hmm. And so God says there's a spiritual battle. The number 16 and the number 6 is a very significant number. In the Hebrew, 16 and 6 means, it's the Hebrew word wa. It means a conversion between heaven and earth. In other words, it literally means a colliding. Notice how two kingdoms collided. When President Trump won in 2016, remember Hillary, she went and she could not even face the crowd because she could not figure out how in the world that all the deception and evil that they did behind the scenes didn't work. And from that moment President Trump came down the escalator, the fight was on. And God's going to reveal to us something very interesting. How many saw the headlines about the spider? This weird spider that's appeared. Do you know God prophesied that ahead of time? We're going to show you these prophecies. Now watch. Slide 28. God says, I tell you a mystery. It'll come down to New York. There'll be a great sign or battle in the heavens. For as you see this happen, some will be angry. Some will be confused. It is a sign that the rain is falling. It is a sign fire is falling. Do you see it? But it's a sign that there's a shift. This is 2007, November 24th. It's a sign that a shift is about to happen. Now look at slide 30. I want you to see this. God tells us when this is going to happen. Do you not understand? This is April 6, 2016. I've said to you, in the year of your 240th year of your reign, I shall raise up a reform. Now there's a previous prophecy from 2010 and 2012 where God specifically says, look to the 240th year. That's when it's going to begin. And remember those? I showed you those prophecies to verify what I'm telling you is the truth. So God's saying this one out of New York, it's going to create a battle in the heavens. Spiritual warfare. The colliding between right and left. Right and left wrong. Right, justice. Left, injustice. And there's going to be a colliding. And it's going to be a battle for this country. Now look at this next section. And then I want you, Anthony, to comment as I set this up. Look at slide 33 real quick. People are like, well, what's God's plan? Don't you know he's got all of these verdicts against him and all of these things? You know, he's a felon. That's what they want you to believe. If they can create a narrative, a false narrative, okay? I met a man the other day, and I even hate to tell you this. I met a man the other day, and he looked at me, and he goes to this church, and he's going to become a member. And he said, Pastor Hank, he said, I heard about you, so I started trying to figure out who you were. I had to go through so much evil things that they are saying about you out there before I finally had to just listen to what God is saying through you. And I got so mad at what they're doing to you. And he said, it's not right. And I said, don't worry about it. Jesus had to make himself of no reputation. I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but I am to walk, we all are, like Christ. It's not about us. It's about him. And it's about other people. And so I don't know it at the level, obviously, that President Trump does, but how many of you ever had people say nasty things about you, untrue things about you? You could spend your whole life trying to defend yourself, answer your critics, or just move on and be who you are privately and publicly and let God be your defense. And so here's the thing. I say that because they smeared Netanyahu. They smeared President Trump. That's what they do. If they cannot try to ruin your reputation through accusations and lies. And can I tell you, he said, Pastor Hank, I said, well, I know it's the lying media. He goes, yeah, that was out there. He goes, but it was coming from Christians who didn't believe in prophets, calling this. I'm like, well, you know, they have to deal with God.
It's true.
Right?
Yep.
Ultimately, they have to deal with God. He's the one that's watching. And so our job is to just keep doing what you're doing and stay in the Spirit. But I want you to see this prophecy as a reminder of what God is saying. Slide 33. I'm putting my hand even stronger upon two men in the earth. Remember New York now. Remember Israel. Both men have had indictments against them. They both tried to throw them in prison because it's a spiritual war. And evil men cooperate with these satanic forces. God says, two men in the earth I put my hand on. You'll see it, and there's a celebration that is happening in the spirit realm. This anointing is going to increase, and their voice shall become louder. Their positions will be granted and given, and it'll be stronger. I speak of, who does he mention first? When that prophecy came out in 2021, we had nasty after nasty mail coming, calling this false and that wrong because it looked like that man was going to jail and blah, 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 blah. Well, who is in power? Okay, and now look at who he mentions next. And the second person I speak of, Donald Trump, says the living God. The enemy thought that he could divide Israel from the United States, but I say I will rejoin their hands again, says the living God. I will rejoin their hands. I'll rejoin the nations, Israel and United States. I'm not finished. You shook hands, Netanyahu and President Trump, and there are still assignments that must happen, that both nations will have their return. And their what?
Unmasking.
Woo! Let's see who's under that mask. All right. So take us to the next section about the spider, and let's fill in the blanks here. We've talked about all of this. Now we're going to show you God's saying there's something behind all of this. It's a demon, and he's telling us what demon it is, and he's telling us what this is about. Okay.
Yeah, so these prophecies starting on, I think it's slide 36. Is that what you want to start, Pastor?
Well, let's let me look at this real quick. Slide 30, I want to make sure. You guys did a great job. Let me put it together. Okay. Read slide 37, okay. And we'll consider this one on 37.
Okay, so how many remember Pastor Hank's recent prophecy about the spider, the big spider? It was interesting to see how many people were so quick to send the headlines. This is the giant spider is coming, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. But you have to remember about prophecy is, like Pastor Hank was saying, it's a narrative. So it's not just a breaking news headline where you can just say, look, here it is. You got to look at what's connected to it and what God is trying to say as a result of said sign. So if you we did some digging and we found that this thing about the spider has been, Pastor Hank has been prophesying this. The Lord has been prophesying this since 2017. And it deals with a particular spirit that we have been seeing rear its ugly head, at the peak of it around 2020. But this has been in the background since 2017. So I'm going to read this, where it says, June 14th, 2017, "For they are plotting, says the Spirit of God, and the head, it has formed its web. It uses the web and has planned to use the web by way of cyber. For this one who is known as the spider, for there is a spirit that has been released, a spirit from hell, and you call yourself Anarchia." So God's telling on this spirit. "And you have said that you will create great turmoil against this administration." So 2017 would be Trump's administration. Yeah. "And this president. And you, spirit of anarchy, you said, we shall create just enough where people will believe it, where people will not trust the government and will rise up against it. But look what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. This shall fail, for there is a moment that heaven has looked to, and it is this month of a heavenly assault to shake everything that can be shaken."
Okay, now I want to say this one. All right. So how many know that there's not good doctors and there's good doctors? There's not good policemen and there's great policemen. So in 2017, God calls out the FBI, the CIA, this is in 2017, calls out these organizations. Now, how many know what's been all over the news? People are saying they can't trust the CIA, the FBI. Now, that doesn't mean they're all bad. There's some good people there that work there. Yes or no? There is. But look at what God says on slide 37, June 14th. He says, "This shaking shall release the vulnerability, the lies that have come from the CIA and the FBI. And there shall even be a shaking among what shall come by way of secret service. And it shall be shaken in the media. And there are those who are being paid by secret organizations to create false news." Wow. Facebook, Twitter, what did they do? God said this in 2017. They would be paid to do this. And they're being paid. "For the Lord God of hosts is about to touch you and bring you to light." The corruption does not just touch the CIA, the FBI, even the Secret Service, your media. He's calling out the media. But this corruption has touched the Supreme Court. And in secret, they did not legislate just according to bench. They legislated according to a secret, to a gathering of those who speak into the ears of some who call themselves justices. God has had enough. These aren't my words. Look at slide 39, 2017. There's a demonic pattern that the enemy has sought to bring, to disrupt, to interrupt, to bring blow after blow, storm after storm, and to cause one to loop and to seek to strike your land, your coast, and that which would seek again to hit the Gulf. So he's talking about storms and man manipulating the storms. How many are catching this? Mm-hmm. How many of you say, what's the big argument today? Man manipulated storms. God's saying this is true. It's happening. And the Spirit of God says, listen, pray against the spirit of anarchia. Pray against the spirit of division. And I shall cause you to be weathered from the storm. He's talking naturally and spiritually. Protected from the storm, for there's a great storm, another storm that is trying to form and move towards this land, this nation, to attack you again. Spirit of God says, lift up your voice, begin to declare unity. That's why we need you at the opening the heavens. Yes. Speak to the storm of anarchia. Speak to the storm of division. Speak to the storm of racism. I can and will disrupt the pattern that seeks to bring storm after storm. So he's not just talking about hurricanes. He's talking about this storm of where they keep using the race card to divide us. They keep using, right, J6, insurrection, fake stuff. It's anarchia. It's the spirit. And these people used the Pelosi's and others to do it. Okay, now let's go to slide 40. This is June 9th, 2024. So this is this year. God says, what is this? Look, there will be a spider, and it shall have great width to its web. And you will say, what is this large spider that's appearing in America? Do you know this just happened like a couple weeks after this? Now, it might have been before. I don't know, but headlines came out right after this prophecy. And with its legs. And God says, I speak this in the natural, but pay attention, because when you see this revealed, in other words, when you see these headlines, which came out, which they did, it is a sign of one who they call spider. Now, didn't he just tell you in 2017, there was one who's operating behind the scenes that are dealing with some of these government agencies and things that's creating a web of problems. How many are tracking with what I'm saying? And it's all connected to this mystery of New York. How many are starting to see why Christians are led? I don't know who to believe. I don't like his personality. Do you not understand you're sliding right into the spiritual warfare? You're sliding right into their web. And he says this, great is the reach of his web. Great is the ensnarement of this web and the anarchy, he repeats it again 7 years later, that has been created and perpetrated by this one who they say spider. And they've conspired. They've worked together to seek to ensnare 45 and you, the people of this nation, to entangle you in their webs of lies, deceptions, and narratives. But when the spider arises in this nation in the natural, it will be a sign that all of this shall be cut down and brought to a place now that the verdict of heaven shall be seen now through justice in your land. Okay? Now, Matt, read slide 41. Because this is June 9th of 2024. Look at this one.
It says, therefore, pay attention as you enter into the time of July and you celebrate United States, a time when freedom and liberty, justice came, and it was meant for all. And it will appear as though things are very, very solid in the intent of evil, but it is the beginning of something that shall be accelerated by my hand. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and I am going to begin to bring liberty to those and to him who has been accused falsely.
Okay, now this was June 9th. To those who've been accused, the J6ers. He's talking about them. And also President Trump. Keep going, Matt.
It says, there will come an independence, a liberty, a freedom, even though it'll appear opposite. But watch how I break it apart. Watch suddenly how things shift. And those who they say is a felon and guilty, it shall quickly drop and move to those who schemed falsely. Wow.
Wow. All right. So let me wrap this up. So Anthony, read slide 43 about what God's plan is, what he said with this anarchy of this spider, this person that's behind a lot of all of this.
All right, this is from December 6, 2017. This is probably one of my favorite prophecies. God says, I sent my trump card to trump the enemy. But now this day, listen to the word of the Lord. This day marks a shift from Donald Trump to Donald Triumph, says the Spirit of God. For it marks a season now where the enemies who have tried to take him out and to resist and to cause trouble, there shall come against them one victory after victory after victory, as things have begun to shift now for this president, for this administration, and for you, my people, says the Spirit of God.
Okay, and that's why nothing that they're trying is working, because the I is God inserting himself. Okay, I like slide 45. Watch this one. July 13th, 2022. God says, can I cause a donkey to speak? Watch what I do when I shall have even some who side with the donkey party. They're going to start talking. Because I'm going to not only bring global freedom, I'm going to bring freedom to many things that they said were true, but they're lying. Therefore, watch me shred it. Blow their cover and watch as there will be many voices now that will speak and will expose who?
Him.
Spider.
Wow.
And the true insurrectionists will be brought to justice.
Wow.
Slide 46. Watch this one. Okay, well, how is all this going to turn out? See, the reason we wanted to do a prophetic pulse tonight is because there was supposed to be a sentencing tomorrow. Right? Now, look at what God said of 2023, April 16th. So over a year ago, he told us what would happen. I will cause my goodness to pass over this country, United States. I'll bring vindication, as I've promised. And those who seek to indict shall be indicted themselves. And as quickly as things arise, they will what?
Fall apart.
For they will see it is like feathers that fall that have no weight. For I'll blow upon it, says the living God. And then if that isn't, frame your accusation, your indictments, but you've left me out of the picture. It shall be you who seek to do this that shall be unveiled, exposed for the world to see. Slide 48, and then we're going to slide into ending tonight. We're going to pray for you. We're going to pray for them and have these guys pray. But look at slide 48. But God says it was a trap that was set. June 11th, 2023. God says it was a trap that was set. So there are many traps set by the power of my hand, the God of justice, that shall, as they push for indictments, arrests, as they even push for a mugshot. So this was before the mugshot. A bracelet. That's probably what they're going to try next. Who knows? God says, listen to me. I've set a trap that shall backfire and cause the spirits that have tried to attack this nation to take it over. Socialism is not the future of this generation of children that shall arise. Therefore, watch the traps, that they shall be swallowed up by their own actions. So how many are understanding what God is saying here? All right, well, is there anything else that you guys want to have? Closing thoughts, and we need to pray for the people. Oh, I want to read this one, slide 50. You need to hear this one because it puts things in perspective, you know, as we see things being played out. This is the last one. June 2nd, 2024. I've said it from the beginning, and I say it to you again, especially those of you who are in fear. I do not need an appeals court of the earth. Okay. Wow. Therefore, I'm not looking to the courts of Manhattan. I'm not looking at the state of New York. I'm not looking at the courts of your land. I'm the supreme God, and I hold true justice at the foundation of my throne. Therefore, I'll shake, I'll embarrass, I'll overrule, and I will overturn, and I will shred, even though they will push. Let us keep him in a house. Let us keep 45 in a house, and let us strap him on his ankle, and if a wrist, if we may. God says, do not make me laugh. I've not changed my mind. All right. Did you guys enjoy this?